These new Pokemon need to exist. I recently made a video where I showed off some designs for new Pokemon that just feel too perfect or clever not to exist, and it was a lot of fun and you guys seem to enjoy it, so we are gonna do it again. Again, the point of these is that they just kind of feel like the perfect concept for a Pokemon, but be sure to let me know your own thoughts on them as well in the comments, and if you have any ideas like this for a Pokemon that you think are super cool too, be sure to leave it in the comments as well. To begin, we are going to start with a Pokemon whose purpose is to be scary, but he's really just kinda adorable more than anything. This is Kribbu, the Phantom Snail Pokemon. These Pokemon are known to try and spook others every chance they get, as they will often hide inside their shells and pop out when another Pokemon or person passes by in an attempt to scare them. However, Kribbu is sabotaged by its own appearance in this regard because it's often viewed as too cute for anyone to really get too scared of it. Now, the reason why I think this concept is so perfect and is a part of this video is because it's based on a haunted house, but the twist is, Kribbu itself is doing the haunting. The shell is based on a home, while the actual snail part of the Pokemon is the ghost that haunts the home, which, when combined with the snail aspect, I thought was a perfect fit and made for a really clever concept. With this in mind, this Pokemon is obviously a ghost type and could potentially be ghost bug as well, which I think would be pretty cool, but most snail and mollusk Pokemon aren't actually bug types, so you guys will have to let me know what you think about that in the comments. As a first stage Pokemon, its stats aren't going to be anything super noteworthy either, but it does have a pretty awesome signature ability called Home Sweet Home, which will heal Kribbu by 50% of its total HP when it is swapped out of battle and returned to its Pokeball. However, this only works one time per battle, so it doesn't end up being too broken. Finally, for its shiny, it adopts this ghoulish green color, which is inspired by snail goo, as well as ghostly ectoplasm, which is often portrayed as green throughout various media. Moving along though, our next Pokemon is one that if you think you've seen, then you were probably mistaken. This is Hoothoot, the treasure Pokemon. These dark types are often cited and claimed to be Hoothoot, but it was only very recently that they were discovered as a completely different species. While Hoothoot is based on an owl, Hoothoot is based on a raccoon, and in particular, their reputation for stealing stuff and their general bandit-like behavior. Additionally, along with these Pokemon's extremely similar appearance to one another, another reason why Hoothoot were mistaken for Hoothoot is due to the way that Hoothoot stands on its tail, resembling the way that Hoothoot stands on one leg. Hoothoot do this because they are able to move around much quicker by launching themselves around with their tails than by simply just walking around on their rather stubby legs. When this Pokemon reaches level 20, just like Hoothoot, it will evolve into Noctowl, the Deception Pokemon. This mischievous Pokemon is filled with ill intent and has often been the subject of local folklore. When food has been stolen, houses have been ransacked, or local Pokemon have been harassed, sightings of this Pokemon are usually to blame. However, people usually only catch glimpses of this Pokemon, and due to its visual similarity to Noctowl, they usually report it as the Noctagoon, a nickname that refers to it as a cross between a Noctowl and a Zigzagoon, because many believe that it's a monster. It was only recently discovered, however, that it is actually a convergent form of Noctowl rather than some cryptid, and this is where its inspirations come into play. For Hoothoot, the concept was inspired by the subtle name change and the way that Hoothoot's round body could be made to resemble a bag of loot, which to me sounded perfect. Noctowl then goes into a more cryptid-like direction, using its status as a Convergent Pokemon as a way to be inspired by cryptids themselves, that people only catch glimpses of and often misidentify, which felt like a perfect fit for a Convergent form. In terms of stats, Noctowl has the same base stat total as Noctowl, but with its highest stats being its speed and special attack. It also has a signature move called Thievery, which is a base 70 power dark type move that does damage, but also if the opponent had previously raised its stats in the turn prior to being hit with this move, that stat boost will be taken away from the opposing Pokemon and given to Noctowl instead. Also, these are these Pokemon's shiny forms, which are based on Hoothoot and Noctowl, further adding to the confusion of identifying these Pokemon and the overall folklore surrounding them. If you've made it this far into the video, I am sure you're enjoying it, which I appreciate a ton, so I wanted to give a real quick plug for my merch store, as it is a great way to support the channel if you enjoy the content here, and everything is also about to be on sale. Starting Wednesday, November 26th, and running through Black Friday weekend till December 2nd, everything in my merch store is 15% off. The Fulkachi plush with a limited edition promo card, the Narwade plush, the trading cards, everything. All you gotta do is use code BFCM2025 at checkout and you're good to go. But remember, this is only going to last through the Black Friday weekend. So give it a look with the link in the description, pick up something for yourself or as a gift, get a deal on it, and support the channel all at the same time. It is a Mega Evolution sized win all the way around. So yeah, give that a look with the link in the description, and now let's get back to the video. This next Pokemon is a follow-up from another video I recently did where I imagined what it could be like if Pokemon breeding produced new Pokemon that carried the traits of both of their parents. So for example, a Gliscor and a Pyroar would introduce a new Manticore Pokemon named Manticub. And this whole idea got me thinking about another idea that was just too good to pass up. Some call this Pokemon an abomination of the daycare. Others call it too ruthless to be natural. This Pokemon is Raptorn, the Hawk Wasp Pokemon. Born from a Talonflame and a Vespiquen, which is a breeding pair previously not thought to be possible, Raptorn is a Pokemon thought to be at the crossroads between nature and science. While technically discovered through natural means, its ruthless and fierce nature has many wondering if this is a case of science going too far, as this Pokemon displays almost unnatural levels of aggression. As a bug fire type, it carries types from both of its parents, and as its category would suggest, it is based on a Hawk Wasp, which frankly has way too cool of a name to not be made into a Pokemon. And I thought it also fit pretty well with this breeding Pokemon mechanic that I recently explored as well. As a standalone Pokemon that does not evolve, Raptorn's stats sit at a solid 500, with it having excellent attack stats and pretty good speed. It also has a signature ability called Burning Stinger, which gives any of its bug-type moves a chance to burn the opponent. Lastly, this is its shiny form, which pulls from the actual colors of real-life Hawk Wasps. Next up, get ready to meet a Pokemon with a much more refreshing disposition. This is Bellsprout, the Garden Hose Pokemon. These water-type convergent forms of Bellsprout are loved and considered must-haves at any greenhouse or nursery, as their unique ability to water plants makes them an extremely valuable asset. In fact, due to their nature of caring for plant life, as well as grass-type Pokemon, this has gained them a friendly reputation amongst grass types who would otherwise have a type advantage against it. And this is reflected in its signature ability, Green Thumb, which lessens the damage done to this Pokemon by grass-type moves. The inspiration for this guy started by simply tweaking Bellsprout's name ever so slightly, and when I noticed how Bellsprout's body shape could also be perfectly translated into a garden hose, it just seemed like a perfect convergent Pokemon concept. And while I wasn't able to design its evolutions, I did think that a Weepinbell Convergent form in this line could be based on a bucket, while a Victorybell Convergent could be based on a well, and it could be named Victory Well, which personally I just thought was really clever and I feel like works well with these Pokemon. Finally, we do also have the Shiny to show off, which gains a really nice red color. And with that, those are some new Pokemon that I think need to exist. Be sure to let me know your thoughts as well as your own ideas down in the comments, and be sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe as well so you don't miss the next one, and with that said, thank you guys so much for watching this one. I really appreciate it, and I will smell you guys later.